week's drive, we catch up with the world's most successful driver, see how high the temperature can get, watch as the world champ prepares to defend his title, and see a two-wheeled magician retain his. All this and more in this week's Drive. For all the Formula One teams, the off-season has been a period of research and development as they adapt to big changes in the rules governing the sport. Renault are intent on defending their constructors' title, and Fernando Alonso is going all out to retain his driver's title. One of the major changes has been the switch from V10 3-litre engines to V8 2.4-litre ones. Much of the winter has been spent developing a new engine and testing its reliability, sometimes almost to destruction. The V8 engine is significantly shorter than the V10, and this has influenced the design of the new car. Team boss Flavio Briatore believes that they are well placed to defend their titles.
We have number one, number two in the car. We need to keep that. And we need fighting for keep at number one, number two for 2007. It's difficult because, let's see, you never know. But this year, I believe the team is ready. We are ready to go, and I'm sure we competing for win the championship again.
Alonso, Formula One's youngest champion at the age of 24, knows he is the man to beat this year. He started out in fine style, winning the opening round in Bahrain, beating arch-rivals Michael Schumacher, who started from pole position, and Kimi Raikkonen, who drove from the back of the grid.
There's no more pressure, but I will be very proud to have number one in my Formula One car. It's the maximum of motorsport, and you know, it's one of these moments that you are dreaming all your career, and Bahrain will be the first race with number one, and I will try to enjoy this year as maximum.
This year will be Alonso's last at Renault before he moves to McLaren for next year. The Spaniard wants to deliver another title to the team that gave him his break into Formula One, but he knows it will be tough.
I think Renault is one of the favorite ones. At the moment, I think Honda, Ferrari, McLaren and Renault are the four big teams, top teams in this 2006 winter testing. And now we will check in the first couple of races, but for sure Renault will be the one to beat, because last year was the champion.
Alonso's Italian teammate Giancarlo Fisichella knows that he must perform well if he's to have a chance of being the team's number one for 2007. Fisichella is convinced he can deliver, despite his mechanical failure in Bahrain.
So I got good motivation, which is, first of all, I drive for Renault, which is the team world champion, and we have a fantastic package. So the motivation is just to win again and do my best with all the teams and all together.
Renault won the first 4 races last year, taking a lead they never lost. Alonso won 3 of those races, including the one in Bahrain, and he's off to a good start this year. For McLaren, mechanical breakdowns cost them the championship last year, and in practice for Bahrain, Raikkonen suffered 2 more failures, yet he fought back to finish 3rd.
It's never going to be easy. There is rule changes, and I think so it has packed every team slightly closer to each other, so it's more guessing right now.
With Alonso moving across in 07, one of the 2 present drivers must leave the team at the end of the year. Juan Pablo Montoya is enjoying the challenge of setting up a new car with its smaller, lighter engine.
You know, the trimming of the wings and everything becomes more critical. Balancing the car becomes more critical. So it's a really nice stage.
At 37, he's the oldest driver on the grid, but with a record 7 world titles, a record 84 Grand Prix victories, and record equaling 65 pole positions on his CV, Ferrari's ace driver Michael Schumacher will be looking to return to the highest stage of the podium after a disappointing 2005 season for both driver and constructor. Schumacher and Felipe Massa, his new Brazilian Ferrari teammate, put their cars on the front row of the grid for the season-opening round in Bahrain. The German multiple world champion is looking to bounce back to the top of the drivers' and constructors' standings after a poor season last year, in which the legendary Schumacher only won a single Grand Prix, the ill-fated US round at Indianapolis, after winning 13 of 18 Grand Prix in 2004.
And I'm really looking forward, after this bad year we had last year and all the effort, all the work we have been doing over winter, to come back here in Bahrain and start the season and prove what we're capable of. We're very optimistic, although we know we have a very tough competition, but keep fingers crossed, we should do a good job.
Significant rule changes, new faces, the youngest ever defending champion in Fernando Alonso, and the possibility of Schumacher's imminent retirement could make 2006 a vintage year for F1 fans.
The achievement for this year can only be one, that we want to win again the world title in both championship, driver and constructor. We know it's a tough challenge, but we're made for challenge.
Brazilian Felipe Massa replaced his popular compatriot Rubens Barrichello, who's moved to Honda. He started second and was harrying Alonso when a huge spin and extended pit stop cost him time and positions, but he finished a creditable 9th in his first race for Ferrari.
Well, the expectation for the season is really, really looking forward to have, let's say, my first podium, my first victory, and to have a really great competitive car to fight for good position all the time, and to help the Ferrari team to make the turnover and win again.
In 2006, new rules include the smaller engines, reduced aerodynamic grip, a new 3-part knockout qualifying format, and a return to tyre changes during the race. Massa's teammate is the most successful driver in the 56-year history of the Formula One World Championship. By claiming pole position, he equalled the late Ayrton Senna's record of 65 pole starts. One more, and Michael will hold every record in Formula One. However, if Schumacher does decide to retire this year, there could be just 18 more opportunities to see if the Ferrari legend can reward the Tifosi once more and claim an unprecedented 8th Formula One world title.
From the car's point of view, the biggest single change is the engine. We have a 2.4-litre V8, which is about 150 horsepower less than we had last year. So it makes a lot of difference to the car, the aerodynamics and so on. There's some smaller changes to the aerodynamic regulations and crash tests, but they won't be so apparent. But the other big change is in the tyres, where we're now allowed to change tyres during the race. And that makes a lot of difference to technology, a lot of difference to strategy. So that's going to be a big change for us this year.
Has lost BMW engines for 2006 and will be hoping that the Cosworth replacement is reliable and powerful enough for the season. Australia's Mark Webber comes back for a second season with the team, having failed to tame an ill-performing car in 2005. This year he's joined by German-born Nico Rosberg, son of Finland's 1982 world champion Keke Rosberg, who also drove for Williams. In Bahrain, the pair finished 6th and 7th, Webber 22 seconds ahead, having qualified 7th and 12th respectively. Honda have completed their buyout of the former BAR team, retaining Briton Jenson Button and luring Brazilian Rubens Barrichello from Ferrari. In 2004, the team were considered as serious contenders for the championship, but like Ferrari and Williams, their 2005 car was a massive disappointment, and they were relegated to the status of makeweights. After 6 seasons in the shadow of Michael Schumacher at Ferrari, Barrichello opted for a new challenge and walked away from his contract at Ferrari a year early at the end of last year. Barrichello has spent the Northern Hemisphere winter testing session getting to grips with his new car. The 33-year-old will be expected to battle for points and podium places following weeks of pre-season preparations that he's found more than satisfactory. While Button has yet to win his first Grand Prix, veteran Barrichello has scored 9 victories. Honda has had a long history in Formula One. The factory formed their own team in 1964, winning their first Grand Prix in Mexico 2 years later. An innovative air-cooled Formula One engine was abandoned after driver Joe Schlesser was killed in a crash. In 1984, Honda returned to Formula One as an engine supplier, winning world titles with McLaren and Williams between 1986 and 1991 inclusively, with drivers Nelson Piquet, Ayrton Senna, Alain Prost and Nigel Mansell.
Well, the team's preparation has been going quite well. I think we put a lot of miles on the car. We actually had our best test in Bahrain, where we really find the weather good, and we were able to complete a lot of miles. So it's been going quite well. I'm quite pleased and quite looking up to the first race.
Barrichello played second fiddle to Schumacher over the last 6 years, but a new team means new opportunities, and he will expect to have the full weight of Honda behind him as he looks to reach double figures in career F1 race wins. Would this have a negative effect on his relationship with Button?
I'm getting on quite well with Jenson, and I think he seems to be a very good driver. I mean, testing is only testing. He's not going to tell us how good we are. It's really the race and the preparation for the race and everything that's going to tell us how good we are. So Jenson seems to be a nice guy. We've been working quite well together to make the team go forward. When the green light is go, obviously we're gonna be looking for some individual results and everything, but we're still getting on quite well, and there's no reason why we shouldn't on the future.
Button finished 9th and 1 place behind Barrichello in last year's Drivers' Championship. The Briton experienced both highs and lows in 2005, including podium place finishes and multiple race bans. Ahead of the opening round, Button felt that first win may not be out of the question this season.
Well, hoping that we've got a car that's competitive. You know, we struggled in 2005 when we expected quite a bit from the year, but this year's car for me is a big step forward. So yeah, I'm hoping that we're going to be challenging for wins every race we go to, and I think that's possible.
Button is entering his 4th season with Honda, and like the team itself, is still seeking his first win in over 100 career Grand Prix starts. The 25-year-old proved his capabilities in the second half of last season, picking up championship points in each of the last 10 races of the year.
The preparations for this year have been staggering, you know, a big step forward from previous years. The most important thing is that we've had reliability over the winter, and when you've got reliability, you know, you're able to test so many different parts that you wouldn't normally. So it's been a very good winter on that side of things. We still don't know how quick we are compared to the competition, but yeah, it's been a good winter.
In Bahrain, Button started 3rd, but dropped back with a terrible start thanks to a failing clutch. Rubens was 6th on the grid. Eventually, Jenson finished 4th, but Rubens was slowed with a gearbox problem and finished 15th, a lap down. Before the Bahrain Grand Prix, Red Bull hosted a party to launch Scuderia Toro Rosso's debut and Red Bull Racing's 2nd year. Attending were dignitaries such as Bernie Ecclestone and Flavio Briatore, FIA President Max Mosley, and Austrian 3-times World Formula One champion Niki Lauda. The evening climaxed with the lowering onto the stage of the 2 cars and the introduction of the 6 drivers to the 1,000-strong crowd. Veteran Scottish driver David Coulthard and Germany's Christian Klien will race the Red Bull cars with Robert Doornbos as their test driver. Italian Vitantonio Luizzi and newcomer American Scott Speed are the drivers for the sister Toro Rosso team, previously Minardi. Their test driver is Swiss A1 Grand Prix star Neil Yarni. Red Bull Racing has an exclusive deal to run Ferrari engines, so they're equipped with the same V8 as Ferrari, rather than running an older specification engine as the Sauber team used to do. Toro Rosso have a dispensation to run rev-restricted V10 Cosworth engines from last year in their cars.
Yeah, I think that the beginning of a season is always an exciting time. You go through the winter of testing, you never quite know where you stand relative to the competition. Now, you know, we have the expression that when the checker flag drops, all the bullshit stops. So now we see, and hopefully we will be standing somewhere near the top of the points when we get to the end of the weekend.
Definitely, I think it's, you know, a really good presentation just before the race weekend. You see all the people who are here enjoys it, and it's you know, a great evening for us as well.
I think, to be honest, it's difficult to really put out an accurate expectation, but I think we're all kind of hoping for some points.
Of course, to win. No, that's definitely the target of everybody, but I think we are in a good shape. We come here with a good expectation. We worked hard during the winter time. I think we are pretty prepared. We have to wait and see what will happen. This will be the biggest exam of the year.
BMW has bought the Swiss Sauber team after ending its deal to supply engines to the Williams team. Dr. Mario Thiessen, BMW's motorsport director, was behind the deal and is masterminding the operation. Nick Heidfeld of Germany has been snapped up from Williams as he's one of the fastest of the current crop of drivers. His teammate is Jacques Villeneuve of Canada, the son of Ferrari Formula One driver Gilles, who died in a fiery crash in practice for the Belgian Grand Prix in 1982. Villeneuve was world champion with Williams in 1997, and surprisingly he's been retained despite only finishing in the top 10 4 times in 2005.
Confidence up. We'll make our mark and put everything in place to close the gap to the top teams and get there.
In Bahrain, Heidfeld came 12th. Villeneuve retired with a broken engine. Russian-born Canadian businessman Alex Schneider bought up the old Jordan Formula One team and is now running it as Midland. The team retained Tiago Monteiro of Portugal and brought in Christian Albers of the Netherlands from what was Minardi, now the Toro Rosso squad. The Midland team buys its engines from Toyota, so they will benefit from the development that Toyota has put into its own engine. In the first race, Albers retired with engine failure and Monteiro finished 17th. Toyota are hoping their new car will see them step up to the next level. 2005 was the team's most successful year to date, but ahead of the first race, the team was confident the new TF106 will challenge the leading constructors. Last year, Toyota moved up to 4th team in the list, a position long overdue given the amount of money they've spent on Formula One. Both Germany's Ralf Schumacher and Jarno Trulli of Italy finished the season 2 points apart, boosting the team's points total equally. Drivers Schumacher and Trulli are now familiar faces at Toyota. The car they'll be driving this year, the 106, had its inaugural run at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona late in November last year. Since then, the new engine, chassis and aerodynamic package has completed substantial mileage in winter testing at various tracks. It's hoped the TF106, now using Bridgestone tyres, will help Toyota build on 4th place last year, itself an improvement from 8th in 2004. Trulli scored Toyota's best ever results last season with 2nd places in Malaysia and Bahrain. The 31-year-old Italian finished 7th in the driver's standings in 2005. He's confident the hard work over the past few months will pay off in the 18-race season.
We've had a very good winter testing where we have been mainly concentrating on the tire testing, so developing the tires. And it has been successful because we made very good progress.
Schumacher, younger brother to 7 times world champion Michael, was 1 place higher in the standings after a season which included podium finishes in Hungary and China. But the German, mindful of the many changes all the competitors have been forced to make, was cautious when asked about his predictions for 2006.
Well, certainly after the results we had in 2005, it's clear that we want to win races. Having said that, with a new engine package, new tyres on the car, we don't even know how good our car is in comparison, so we have to wait and see and be realistic.
But this year, both drivers struggled, Schumacher finishing 14th and Trulli 16th. It was a disappointing race and a disappointing weekend, and certainly not what the team expected based on their performance in testing. The basic balance of the car was okay, but both drivers struggled for grip all weekend. John Howard has overseen the team's performance and remains optimistic that 2006 will be Toyota's best year since entering Formula One in 2002.
Well, I think every Grand Prix team wants to win, and ultimately I think our first target has to be the quickest Bridgestone runner, which in itself is going to be quite tough means beating Ferrari. And I think really we want to continue to score points regularly, podiums, and really challenge our first win before June.
Clearly, Toyota have lost the performance advantage they built up in the second half of last year. But the worst is that they don't yet know, or they aren't saying, where the problem lies. So the technicians will be examining all the data from Bahrain to try and fix it. After the first round of what promises to be a great season, the results tell only half the story. The rest will be told throughout the year. What a season 23-year-old Adam Raga has had. With 9 of the 12 rounds completed in the Indoor Trials World Championship so far, the all-conquering Raga has featured on every podium so far, his worst result being 3rd in Barcelona, and he's claimed 5 victories and 3 second-place finishes. Meanwhile, the final round of the Brazilian Grand Prix in Sao Paulo consisted of 2 sections with just 3 likely winners. Hironi Fajardo of Spain, Japan's Takahisa Fujinami, and the ever-present Raga. Fajardo was first off in the second section of the final. He would finish level on points with Fujinami, but lost in a playoff. Fujinami was next on the obstacles, but he came second on the podium after pipping Fajardo in the playoff race-off with a total of 17 points. Riding the slightly heavier and less responsive 4-stroke that all riders will eventually have to adopt, the Japanese rider made the intimidating course seem like a ride in the park. However, the stage was set for the champion-elect.
Perfecto, 35 ahora.
The all-conquering Raga duly won his 4th consecutive world title after taking victory once more, conceding just 11 penalty points in a win that made the task seem easy. The Gas rider is now only 1 world title from equaling the record of the legendary English rider Dougie Lampkin, who was the world title holder in this discipline in 1997 through to 2001. In addition, Adam is the reigning outdoor world champion too. With his 6 victories and 3 second-place finishes, the Spaniard has now scored 90 out of a possible 100 points. In his overall career statistics, Raga has won 30 of the 50 Grand Prix in which he's competed, and only in 6 rounds has he been missing from the podium since his debut in 2001. The animated 23-year-old is proving to be more than a worthy successor to Lampkin.
I am very happy for my 4th World Indoor title and my 5th in my career. I have to be very happy because this is incredible. No? For me, that was a dream come true now, and I have to be very pleased from every people to help me all my life, my father, my team, my friends, and it's all the titles is for them.
Make that 6 wins from 10 starts. The 11th and penultimate round of the season takes place in Buenos Aires. What are the odds against seeing Raga on the podium once more? While Raga's domination is complete, the magicians of the 2-wheeled world will soon move outdoors, where natural obstacles replace man-made ones. Will Adam still dominate? Don't bet against it. And finally, a rare occurrence in motorsport. Not the reek of burnt rubber, the sudden thud of impact and the sight of bits of wrecked car lying on the track, but what happened on lap 74 of the Rolex Sports Car Series, Mexico City 250. Chris Bingham and JC France came together coming into a turn, wrecking both their cars. They sat in the damaged cars until emergency personnel rushed to the scene. But after Bingham and France got out of their cars, they got into each other. Replays of the incident were inconclusive as to who was responsible for the crash, but both drivers were suspended from the next event at Miami Speedway and are under an open-ended probation. Afterwards, when tempers had cooled, both drivers apologised to each other, fans and officials, France calling it an unfortunate result of passionate people in exciting circumstances. Bingham added, regardless of circumstances, there is no scenario in which 2 drivers should come to an altercation. I do not believe either of us was in the right and that we both reacted in an unprofessional manner. The race was won by hometown favourite Luis Diaz and his co-driver Scott Pruitt. So, whether you're squaring up to a new season or just working hard to stay in front, so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.